Well, we are back in Matthew again, and this is part one of chapter 14 in Matthew. So I hope you enjoyed the Easter discussion as we were kind of delving into a quick highlight tour of the week of Jesus leading up to Jesus. And so now we're going to delve a little bit now back into Matthew and our regular study. So Matthew 14, verses 1 through, we'll stop in 12 for right now. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers are at work in him." Now, Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered him a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for them and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on a platter, the head of John the Baptist." The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he ordered that her request be granted and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. The Bible is filled with R-rated stories, and this is definitely one of them. So let's give a little context about who Herod is. This is Herod the Great's son, or one of his sons. Herod the Great, Herod the Great, was the one who was trying to kill all the babies when Jesus was born. So this is one of his sons, and the kingdom was divided among King Herod the Great's kingdom was divided between all his children, all his sons, that is. So when this is Herod Antipas, when he came into power for this particular region, and he was over the region of Galilee, he was about 17 years old when he received that position. A lot of different paganism. He also had some Jewish. There's a lot of things that were mixed into his ways of thinking. So this is also where that statement comes from, that he thinks that John the Baptist has come back to life, and that's why the miraculous powers work in him. So there's all kinds of different things that are entrenched in how he thinks, in his spiritual beliefs. Now, the reference that John is making to Herod in saying it is unlawful is actually in Leviticus 18:16, which reads, "Do not have sexual relations with your brother's wife. That would dishonor your brother." And then also in Leviticus 20, verse 21, "If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity. He has dishonored his brother. They will be childless." Because this is what Herod does. He specifies this. He had taken his brother's wife. Philip, of course, also was king over another region. So this is what is going on. John confronts him because he does have some pull with the Jewish people. He has this connection. So, well, not pull, that's not the right word, but there's still some of that Jewish belief that's also in Herod. So he does not like it, but at the same time, he respects John, and he really does not want to have him killed. But of course, the events that take place lead to that. He probably has heard, let's see, in Luke, let's turn to that. Luke 8, 1 through 3. Herod has kind of an informant inside of the palace. 8, 1 through, yes, I turn one more page and I'll be there. There we go. So in Jesus's following, there is somebody that is from the Herod household. So let's find that out. In verse 3, Joanna, the wife of Chuza, the manager of Herod's household, Susanna, and many others, these women were helping to support them out of their own means. Okay, so Chuza is the manager of Herod's household. So his wife is a part of Jesus's following. So this whole conversation here, he probably is finding out about all these things through Chuza's wife, Joanne. So then we have also Herod's daughter through this unlawful marriage here. And the daughter is about 12 to 14 years of age. We also know from the context of the party, this was probably a very central dance that she's doing. But we also know that through the history, Herodias was the one that Herod married. Herodias is behind pretty much all of Herod's evil deeds. So she's the one who kind of guides him into doing all these things. So this is kind of the context that we're set in before we get into all the things that Jesus does. But there is this backstory that's taking place before we can understand the next following things that we will see the rest of this week. So pick up with me tomorrow as we talk about the feeding of the 5,000.